Those who are watching this in Ukraine understand that Senator Schumer and McConnell are going to say in a moment, we have not abandoned you. We're going to keep helping you as you struggle to liberate your country from the war criminal Putin. Whether you believe we should be helping Ukraine or not, I do. People in this body on both sides of the aisle, in the Senate.
Monthly checks may be sent out this year, and many lawmakers in the House have just learned about to propose a bill that will restore the improved and expanded monthly child tax credit payments. It would cost billions of dollars and would send Americans relief checks every month. It already has provided bipartisan support, and also a group of House representatives have just introduced the American Families Act, which will actually be a bill that would make the previously expanded and improved monthly child tax credit permanent. And during the crisis, the American Rescue Plan Act provided relief for American families through a series of payments and credits. One of those was a supercharged version of the child tax credit. And beginning in July of 2021, the IRS began distributing nearly $93 billion in advance child tax credit payments to families. Those are paper checks or direct deposits that appeared each month. And the payments were equal to 50% of the child tax credit estimated to be families and available to the families. Based on information reported on their federal income tax return, eligible families who did not receive the advance payments or didn't receive enough can claim the full credit on their 2021 tax return during the tax filing season. Mailing the payments in monthly installments wasn't the only change, and the credit was also bigger and fully refundable to qualifying taxpayers, and it means that you could receive the advanced child tax credit. Now, what we're also going to say is that all the programs have represent the largest modern U.S. experiment in unrestricted cash payments, with more than 12,000 Californians expected to receive more than $180 million in public and private funds. Nowhere else have so many guaranteed income pilot programs launched at the same place. Keep that in mind, folks, because a new advocacy group actually doesn't want to let Republican lawmakers who oppose student loan forgiveness off of the hook. This Thursday, a nonprofit called Protect the Borrower's Action released an ad that criticized 13 Republicans and who voted back-to-back student debt relief. At the end of June this month and next month as well for August, the Supreme Court has struck down Biden's plan to cancel up to $20,000 in student debt for the federal borrowers. It came after both the House and the Senate passed a bill to take back Biden's debt relief that the president ultimately vetoed. So while Biden has announced a new plan to get borrowers relief during a different law, it's called the Higher Education Act, many Republican lawmakers don't even want to actually be carried on this. Biden acknowledged that delivering relief through the Higher Education Act will take some time because it requires the policy to go through a negotiated rulemaking process, which includes hearings and public commitment. Still, payments are scheduled to resume in October, but still, with interest accruing again in September, and while the Education Department announced a 12-month ramp on payments after the repayment starts, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is worried. Folks, more and more checks are expected to arrive for the Americans throughout the summer and fall. Lawmakers are agreeing to provide the low income with extra financial relief, and relief may either be in the form of a one-time check or direct deposit. But now, 2 rebate checks are going to be for tax policies. These checks are typically sent out after individuals file their annual tax returns and determined to be eligible for a refund or credit. The specific eligibility criteria for tax rebates is depending on tax lawmakers and regulations in the country. A large number of states have announced they will be mailing and depositing relief checks for many residents. During the recently wrapped legislative sessions, the lawmakers agreed to send tax rebates to people in Minnesota, and now the rebates are $260 for individuals with AGIs very high, but $520 for couples who file jointly. People within those limits will get an additional $260 per dependent for up to 3 people they can claim. Rebates are expected to go out via direct deposit and checks starting this fall too. It's important to note that the lawmakers and taxpayers who have to apply for this payment. Now, Senator Bernie Sanders is now ready to negotiate on the $3.5 trillion budget resolution price tag for the new spending bill. Folks, progressive lawmakers are offering to cut spending short to save President Biden's plan. We have a ton of news to go over in today's fourth stimulus check update, so you guys want to be sure to stay until the end of this very video.
A failure to raise the debt limit will call into question Congress's willingness to meet our obligations that we've already incurred. Not new ones, we've already incurred. This is going to undermine the safety of U.S. Treasury securities. and it will threaten the reserve status of the dollar as the world's currency that the world relies on. American credit rating will be downgraded. Interest rates will rise for mortgages, auto loans, credit cards, borrowing. Folks, watching at home, you should know this is the Republican position. Here's what it is. They won't vote to raise the debt limit to cover their own spending. Democrats voted with them to cover that spending the previous 4 years. They say Democrats should do it alone. But then they're threatening to use a procedural power called the filibuster, meaning that we'd have to get 60 votes, not 50 votes, to increase the debt limit. This would block the Democrats from meeting our obligations and responsibilities to prevent Congress from raising the debt limit. So let's be clear. Not only are Republicans refusing to do their job, they're threatening to use their power, to prevent us from doing our job, saving the economy from a catastrophic event. I think, quite frankly, it's hypocritical, dangerous, and disgraceful. Their obstruction and irresponsibility knows absolutely no bounds, especially as we're clawing our way out of this pandemic. Democrats will meet our responsibility and obligation to this country. We're not expecting Republicans to do their part. They made that clear from the beginning. We tried asking to no avail. We're just asking them not to use procedural tricks to block us from doing the job that they won't do. Meteor is headed to crash into our economy. Democrats are willing to do all the work stopping it. Republicans just have to let us do our job. Just get out of the way. If you don't want to help save the country, get out of the way so you don't destroy it. We don't have time to delay with elaborate procedural schemes, which Republicans' proposals require. Scores of votes.
The groups are asking the court to forgive and declare the forbearance credit policy as unlawful, set it aside, and block any cancellation of student loans based on it. In the first round of relief legislation, Congress said months in which borrowers benefited from the payment pause would count toward loan forgiveness for public workers. And roughly half of the more than $1 trillion in outstanding loans have been made directly by the federal government and being repaid through one of the 4 income-driven payment plans. The plan is capping monthly payments at a given percentage of earnings and with the promise that the balance will be forgiven after 25 years of payments. But a 2022 Government Accountability Office found that the Education Department did not accurately track the payments until a decade after the first income-driven plan was actually implemented. This is the Institute, and they say that $39 billion in debt cancellation is only a fraction of the true cost of a Biden-proposed plan, assuming the per-borrower cost of cancellation remains the same. Now, for $39 billion in debt cancellation, it's only a fraction of the true cost of Biden's proposed plan. Assuming the per-borrower cost of cancellation remains unchanged, the groups estimate that the adjustment program could cost $175 billion in foregone payments and interest. We have some major news. There are upcoming changes to Social Security, and it may take effect sooner than we expected. As Social Security is adjusted on an annual basis, lawmakers are working together to improve